Sabbath church family. Try to get this on. I love coming to the North Cascade Seventh-day Adventist Church. So it's been too long since I've been with you, over a year. And I want to get something here at the beginning. Now, I love it that you have so many kids. Do you love that? And I need one of those kids, someone who thinks they have a sharp mind, that I want you to beat the adults. You're not going to get embarrassed. You want to come? All right, come on. All right, you'll try. All right, maybe I need a teenager or a young college student. I know I saw three here that were just here. Any of you three want to? You're not going to be embarrassed. I can't promise you won't get embarrassed. But you probably won't. Yeah. If anything, you'll be disappointed in yourself a little bit. But you won't be embarrassed. You don't want to try? It's not going to be too embarrassing. I promise you. And you'd only have to speak like less than 5 seconds. John? All right, John, you've been... See, the good thing is, if you guys don't volunteer, I'll just pick on you, and I don't have to be here the next week, so... I need 3 more people. So does anybody want to rise up from a different age group? All right, we got right here. You want to come forward, the 2 of you? Okay, and all right, great. Now, I'm going to just give all of you, I want you to start talking immediately with the answers, okay? You are going to name as many car makes as possible. I'm going to count to 10 in my head. I just want you to start shouting it out to the church. 1, 2, 3, go. Stop. Was that easy? Was that hard? No? Okay. What else? I want you to name, just blurt out as many states as you can in the United States. Go. All right, you can stop. Was that hard? See, was that hard? That embarrassed you? No? Don't you wish you were up here? I got candy. I'm too old for candy. All right, that was easy? States? All right, now, when I was a little kid, we had the 5-second rule. Do you know what the 5-second rule is, everybody? Yeah, if something goes down, on the floor, you got about 5 seconds to pick it up, and no one's going to say, yeah, you got all the germs and dirty on it now. The only thing that always bothered me, it's never the nasty vegetables that drop on the floor. It's always the good stuff. It's always the dessert. It's always the candy. Okay? I am going to give you 5 seconds to come up with an answer. Now you're going to go one by one this time. All right? You're going to see a category, and you're going to have 5 seconds to name as many things. So like I said, if you see U.S. states, you got to say as many as you can in 5 seconds. You saw it wasn't difficult, right? It wasn't difficult. All right, your name? Patrick. Okay, how old are you, Patrick? 75. All right, Patrick is 75 years old. He has a lot of experience. He's seen a lot of things. He knows a lot of things. So you're probably the one that should get this the best, right? I put you on the spot. Ready? All right, you got to count with me. Once he says 1, you're going to say, once he says 1, you kind of in your mind count 1, 2, 3. Let's see how many he can do in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds. Go. Stop. Now, I know you've seen more than 2 cartoons in your life. Oh, right. You're next, okay? No, you're going to get a different category. You're going to get a different category. Go. Stop. Good job. I think you got 4, right? 4. You ready? Your turn? All right. Oh, what's your name, by the way? Bonnie. How old are you? Younger than him. Okay, that's great. Great answer. All right, you're great. You're a great answer. All right. Yeah, that's a good thing. Because it's not a good thing for me to ask. All right, 62. Your name and your age.
My name's Ileana, and I'm 11 years old.
You're 11 years old. You are ready. Go. Stop. Got 1. You ready? All right, let's go. Stop. 3, right? What's your name? Age? All right, you guys are supposed to have quick minds, right? You're supposed to know everything by 70. All right, so let's see in the middle, down the middle. You probably let's see if you can get 4 or 5. She was good with the salad dressing, right? All right, let's see what you got. 1, 2, and go. Stop. All right, thank you very much. I don't know what happened. Can we? How did that go? All right, that was fun, right? Yeah. Thank you very much. Now you're gonna see the point why I asked you to do this. Let's give him applause. I don't know what happened to the slides. We'll see what happens. But anyway, all of you could probably start guessing cartoons, right? And if I didn't give you the pressure of time, now I gave more for like the states, but you guys were naming states automatically. Car makes automatically. Once I gave a time limit, all of a sudden your mind started like, oh, I don't know. And I use this example to illustrate what happens with us as a Seventh-day Adventist people with the second coming, of what we are about, of the centrality, the core centrality of our message. And we often put time constraints on this message. Jesus is coming what? Soon. And we can start talking about, the signs of the time, these signs that Jesus gives that let us know that we are living in the last days, and these days of the last days of which we are living are the last days of the last days of which we are living in the last days. I'm going to submit to you that our fixation on time has actually paralyzed our work in spreading, in giving the message that Jesus is coming soon. I think since this is breaking up quite a bit or cracking, I'm going to just use this microphone. So what can we do? That's not working too well either. All of us have heard this text. Matthew 24, verse 14. And this gospel, this good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed in all the world as a testimony to what? All nations. And then comes our favorite part. And then the end will come. You say amen to that? All right, you see in this verse here, we have something about time. The end. What do we need to do so that the end can come? And you've heard it before. Take the gospel to all the world. And probably you've heard many people say from the pulpit and in different seminars, we need to finish the work for Jesus to come, for Jesus to return. Unfortunately, though, when you look at statistics, we find out that the Christian world is not growing. In fact, it is shrinking. It is shrinking so, in fact, that other denominations, not even other denominations, other religions are growing faster than Christianity. So what does that mean about the second coming? Is Jesus coming soon? Jesus is alive and well? Oh, Satan's alive and well. But we have a prophecy. Jesus is coming soon, but the gospel is not going to all the world because other groups are actually doing a better job than Christians. So that means we're going to be around for a long time. Jesus is not coming back anytime soon. This good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed in all the world is the prophecy, is the sign that Jesus has given in Matthew 24. And we get fixed as a people on those two words, will be. This good news of the kingdom is going to be proclaimed. And if it is going to be proclaimed, who has to proclaim it? It has to be us. And if we see that in the world this is not happening, then when is the end going to occur? It's not going to occur. In His time. Now also sometimes we hear the statement of, for Jesus to return, God's people must perfectly reproduce the character of Jesus. And when you look even among yourselves, you don't even have to look at your church family or other churches or the whole Christian denomination and religion as a whole, Seventh-day Adventism denomination. Do you see the character of Jesus perfectly reproduced in us as a people? No. Do you see it produced in yourself? And if all these answers are no, then what does that tell us about Jesus returning anytime soon? That He's not going to come back anytime soon. And you guys are intelligent people. You recognize that the work is not being finished. You recognize that God's people are not, living and looking the way that they should. And you look at your own life. I look at my life. It is not going the way I would want it to. And therefore, because we see these things, all of a sudden, we make the conscious and subconscious decision of recognizing, since Jesus is not coming back soon, I am no longer going to live as if Jesus is coming back soon. I'll live just close enough with God so that I feel comfortable. Just enough that I can have Him in sight. But I'm not going to live with Him right next to me because I know I still got time. Unfortunately, Well, I should say fortunately, actually, not unfortunately. Fortunately, this text has been translated wrong. Not so much the translation, but the understanding and the nuances. Because if I were to say something in Spanish, and I had a translator here translating to you to English, oftentimes they cannot translate word for word. The meaning would not come across. And even if there was more or less the meaning, sometimes there are nuances that just give a deeper understanding, which goes beyond a surface of literal translation. So in Greek, actually, this statement, this verse is not a conditional statement. If this happens, if the gospel is proclaimed, then this will happen, the end. In Greek, this is a statement of fact. The gospel will be preached, and the end will come. It's not conditional upon what I do, upon what we do, upon what the Seventh-day Adventist Church does, upon what Christianity as a whole does. We have global coverage going on regarding the message of salvation, regarding the beautiful and wonderful message and story about Jesus. And to make this a little bit clearer, I'm going to ask you a question. When you think of Noah, did he cause a flood to occur by building an ark? No. But rather, Noah built an ark because he knew a flood was coming. Now, when we take that to the second coming, we do not work, we do not witness, we do not do outreach, we do not do evangelism so Jesus can come. We do it because he is coming. And that makes a huge, huge difference. Now, Pastor Marcia, she's stone here. She read from John chapter 14. Where are you, Pastor? I saw you right there. That's my next text. This is a promise that Jesus is, and it gives us so much hope. In my Father's house, Jesus says, are many what? Dwelling places from the Holman Christian Standard. If not, Jesus says, I would have told you, disciples. But this is what I'm going to tell you now. I am going away to prepare a place for you, and if I go away and prepare a place for you, I will come back and receive you to myself, so that where I am, you may be also. Now you can start to see that Jesus' heart come out. He wants life with you. He wants to be with you. He does not want heaven without you. Yes, I'm talking to you up there. Yes, I'm talking to you in the back, here at the side, here in the front, here in the middle. Jesus wants you. And it doesn't matter what age you may find yourself. Jesus wants you. If you're 8 years old, if you're 12 years old, if you're 19, if you're 22, if you're 55, if you're 34, if you're 65, if you're 70 and above, if there's any centennials in here, it doesn't matter. Jesus wants you in heaven. So much so that you already have an address in heaven. Jesus did not go to heaven to start a construction project. Because Jesus says that the home, the mansion, the room, whatever version you're reading from, is already there. In my Father's house, there will be many mansions. Does that say? No, he says that there are. And Jesus has not even gone to heaven at that point when he makes that statement. In my Father's house, in heaven, there is a mansion for you. You have an address already. But he says, I go and prepare a place for you. If the mansion is already there, what is Jesus going to prepare? We're going to start reading. Let's go to chapter 13 of John. John chapter 13. And we're going to start. The foot washing has happened. Jesus has had the Last Supper with his disciples. Jesus is now outside with them. He's already told them that Judas is going to betray him. He gives them a new commandment to love one another. But I want us to go to verse 33. Verse 33. There, Jesus, in that dark night, tells his disciples, "Children, I am with you a little while longer. You will look for me. And just as I told the Jews, where I am going," what happens? "You cannot come." Those are some strange words coming from Jesus, right? I mean, when we think about Jesus, we think of him saying to you and I and all of us, "Come, follow me." But now Jesus is telling the disciples, "I know you want to follow me, but you cannot follow me. You cannot go where I am going." Now, we know where Jesus is going. He's talking about heaven, that he's going to go home. Wouldn't you want to go to heaven? Right? Isn't that where Jesus wants you? Isn't that where he wants me? Why is he telling the disciples, "You cannot follow me"? Basically, he's telling the disciples, you're not ready. Your life is not ready. Now, Peter doesn't understand everything that's going on, and Peter starts in verse 36 now talking, "Lord, where are you going?" And Jesus answered, once again, basically the same thing. "Where I am going, Peter, you can't follow me. But you will follow later." If Jesus says these words to me, I would be hurt if I was Peter. And I'm sure he was. I've left all for him. 3.5 years. I've been following this man, Jesus. I've looked like a fool to everybody else in my neighborhood, in my community. For a good part of those 3.5 years, I have lived homeless because of Jesus. You don't think I'm willing to follow you, Jesus? You don't think I'm ready? Jesus, you know my heart. You know everything about me. You know my passion. You know how much I love you. You know how much I've given over to you. You know how much I've left things behind for you. How dare you say that I cannot follow? He must have been so hurt by those words. So after Jesus says those words, verse 37 comes along. "Lord," Peter asked, "why? Why can't I follow you now?" If you don't think I'm ready, Jesus, let me put you at ease. This is how ready I am to follow you. I will lay down my life for you. If you don't think I can handle the danger, just let me put you at ease, Jesus. I can handle it. Whatever danger you're willing to go to, whatever danger your life is going to be, I can assure you, I will be right next to you. Even if you have to die, and they're going, I'm going to step in front. They're going to have to kill me before they get to you. I can just imagine the chuckle in Jesus' mind and his face as he hears Peter saying those words. And Jesus maybe just kind of shakes his head. Will you? Will you? Will you lay down your life for me, Peter? You think you're ready? Yes, Lord, I'm ready. Will you lay down your life for me? Whatever you ask, Lord, I'm willing to do. If I hear your voice clearly, I will do it. Peter, let me assure you, a rooster will not crow until you have denied me. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. A rooster will not crow until you have denied me 3 times. What does the rest of the chapter say? Nothing. Don't you want there to be more to this chapter? Like, what else did Jesus say? What was Peter's response? What was going on? But John leaves out all that important information. It's like a good story that gets to the climax and then it just completely stops. There's no resolution to this tension that Jesus has just put. Peter, you are going to deny me. You are nowhere near ready for heaven. Whatever you think about yourself, Peter, you're really not that strong. In fact, you are so unready that tonight you're going to deny that you even know me, not once, not twice, but 3 times. How many of you are ready to say, Jesus, I'm willing to follow you anywhere? There wasn't a lot of amens that time. And I don't blame you. Because after I read this story, where I thought initially I would say, yes, I'm like Peter, I'm willing to follow Jesus. And now if Peter can't do it, can I? Peter lived with Jesus. Peter was Jesus's ride or die. Or so he thought. And Jesus knew, no, he's not going to stand up. He's not going to rise to the occasion. He's not going to deny, he's not going to lay down his life. He's not even just going to hide away and not say anything. In fact, Peter is going to deny me. I wish I would have known what happens afterward. But the next thing is we have those bold numbers, 14. It's a new chapter. But you know that John did not write that number 14? John didn't write those verse numbers. So most likely, the continuation of what we have at the close of chapter 13 is actually the beginning of what we find in chapter 14. So when Jesus tells him, will you lay down your life for me, Peter? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you the truth. In fact, you are so unready that before a rooster cries, you will deny me 3 times. And that shock that must have hit Peter and pierced him in his heart, in his gut, in his chest, as he's trying to recover from what Jesus says. All of a sudden, Jesus says the following words, but let your heart not be troubled, Peter. Don't let these words of what I'm telling you, don't let it bring you down. Yes, you're going to deny me, but do not let your heart be troubled from that matter. Continue to believe in me. You believe in God, yes. Continue to believe in me, Peter, because in my Father's house, for you who will deny my name, I want you to know that there are many mansions, there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, I would have told you. It's not make-believe stories. Yes, the Jews have a lot of things wrong, but this thing they have right about heaven. Peter. you're not ready to follow me. But I'm going away to prepare a place for you. But the mansion's already there. That's right, Peter. Your mansion is already there. I'm going to prepare you to inhabit that place. I'm going to prepare the atmosphere, the surroundings of your life, so that you can have that place in heaven. And if I go away, Peter, you who denied me, I'm going to come back for you. So because where I am, I want you there too, Peter. So church, when you are not praying, Jesus still says, do not let your heart be troubled. When you have some doubts in your life, when there's confusion in your life, when you are backslidden in your life, God is still praying for you. Jesus is still working on your behalf. Jesus is setting things up. Conditions in my life, conditions in your walk, conditions in your workplace, so that you can come to the place where finally, like Peter, something happens and his life changes around, and all of a sudden he is all for Jesus. And he is ready to follow him. Yes, Peter thought he was ready at this moment. Jesus knew, you're not ready. You are so unready. When you are sinning, when I am sinning, Jesus has those tailor-made garments, pure white, and he's saying, I'm still making it for thee. Because when I am done preparing him, I will come back and receive David to myself, so that where I am, he may be also. I was going to ask for another volunteer, but I don't think anybody wants to come. See, you're shaking your head. But it was not embarrassing, you said. You know, when Jesus goes to the cross, Jesus goes to the cross, he dies, he gets put in a tomb. He rests on the Sabbath day, and on Sunday, a woman, Mary Magdalene, comes. She sees the tomb, it's empty. She runs and tells the disciples. And as she reaches the other disciples, John chapter 3, verses 23 to 5 says, at that Peter and the other disciple, John, went out, heading out to the tomb. The two of them were not just walking, they were excited because Jesus had said something about this, that he would rise. The two were running together. But the other disciple, John, he's a teenager, so he's able to outrun Peter, who's older than him, and he's in better shape. He gets to the tomb first. And he sees that open tomb, and he looks, he stoops down, and he sees linen cloths lying there. But John did not go in. Then finally Simon Peter catches up, huffing and puffing. He doesn't stop. He continues going into the tomb. He wants to know what happened because that's his passion. I am ready to follow Jesus. And he sees also those linen cloths lying there. The wrapping that had been on his head was not lying with the linen cloths, but were folded up in a separate place by itself. I hated this text growing up, because my mom would always use it to get me to clean up my room. To help around the house. God is a God of order. Even at his resurrection, he left everything nice and neat. I didn't like this thing about God, that he liked order and neatness. Do you think that's what Jesus was trying to teach us? I'm not saying it's a bad concept, but do you think that was what Jesus was trying to teach us at the resurrection. That we should be nice, orderly, and neat. I don't think so. When you go to a hotel, I hope they vacuum this floor. When you go to a hotel, you get in bed, spend the night there, you get up the next morning, you're going to come back. What do you do with these sheets or the blankets? You leave them. Now, if you're like me, I'll kind of spread them out just a little bit. But I'm not going to make the bed. I'll just kind of spread it out a little bit. Do any of you just kind of spread it out a little bit? Yeah? Yeah. I come back that night. Once again, get in bed, spend the night, wake up the next morning, gonna go eat continental breakfast, and then get off to the airport. What do I do with these sheets? Do I spread them out a little bit? Do I make the bed? I just leave it. In whatever condition that it's found, I leave it. Why? I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. So I just leave my covers, the linens, the blankets. The Jews had the tradition, and maybe you kind of have it as well. The servants would be against the wall, just watching everything that was going on. And as the feast would go on, and whatever thing was going on there, Jesus would be with his disciples. Anybody, it doesn't necessarily have to be Jesus. Any food that was being served in the party and people were eating there across the scene. The Jews had the tradition that its servants would be against the wall, watching very carefully everything that happened. Because if I decided to get up and I say, I got to go home, I got some things, whatever food I still had left on the plate, I just leave it, and they had to be responsible. Quickly, go get that plate out of there. But what if I wasn't planning on leaving? I had to use the bathroom. I had to take a phone call. I had to do something. But I don't want those servants to take my plate because I'm coming back. The napkin, or whatever they use, the cloth that they would use, if they folded it up nice and neat, and they put it next to their plate, they got up and left, the servants against the wall would see that folded napkin and know that person's coming back. Do not pick up that plate. But if they were done before everybody else, they would just kind of crumble up that napkin or cloth and just toss it there, and they would leave, and the servants knew, pick up that plate. At his resurrection, Jesus left us a visual promise, a visual reminder that we can take hope in saying he is coming back. He didn't just leave the linen just thrown there because it would have been a great opportunity. Death cannot hold me. He didn't want to spend any more time in death and in sin and the concept of sin anymore. He wanted to race out of there, but Jesus said, no, I have to let my people know throughout history that I will return for them. Therefore, I'm going to spend a little bit extra time in this tomb of darkness, in this tomb that represents death, in this tomb that represents their sin that I have taken in their place. I will spend extra time in it to let them know that I am returning. I will fold those linen cloths that were on my face to let them know, I'm coming back for them. I'm coming back. You see, that's why the second coming cannot be conditional upon what I do. Hebrews 10:35-36. Do not throw away your confidence, young person. Do not throw away whatever troubles are going on in your life right now. Paul appeals to us. Do not throw away that confidence, that belief in Jesus returning soon, because there is a great reward. Paul says now, he says, you need endurance. Continue to hold fast. Don't give up. Jesus is better. Do not trade the inferior of what you can see for do not trade the superior of Jesus for the inferior things of this life. You need endurance so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive what was promised. And what was that promise? Verse 37. For yet in a little while the coming one might come and might not delay. You're shaking your head. You don't like the uncertainty that I just put in that text. But isn't that how we live, that he might come soon if we were to do these things? See, the second coming has to be unconditional upon what I do. And Paul states this, the coming one will come and will not delay. Oh, you said amen to that one. You like the assurance. But what assurance do you have that you're going to be in heaven? Have you gone to heaven to see the books? What objective evidence do you have that you're going to be saved? You don't have it. But you have the Word of God. You have the promises of God. You have the promises of Jesus. There in that resurrection, Jesus gave us the promise, I will return. And no matter what your life is going through right now, no matter how little you feel as a Christian, as a believer in God, those same words that he told to Peter, he says to you, do not let your heart be troubled. Do not let your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. You're denying. You live like you're denying. You're not ready to fall. But in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. But I am going away. Yes, I know you want to be in heaven. Yes, I know you want me to take away all the troubles. Yes, you want to be where I am, but right now you are not ready. But let me tell you something, I'm going to go away. And if I go away, I'm going to prepare you. I'm going to prepare that place in your life so that you can inhabit that mansion. So that where I am, you may be also. Do you want to be where Jesus is at? Do you want to follow? I don't know what your life is right now. I don't know where in the spectrum are, like you're right next to God, walking with God, or you may be so far out, like Peter, you're denying him. You may be so far out, maybe in some way you're like Judas, betraying him. But Jesus is offering that forgiveness. Don't lose hope. Do not let your heart be troubled by what's going on right now. Believe in God. Believe also in him. Don't throw away your confidence. It has a great reward. Endure a little bit more. Recognize that Jesus is better. He is superior. And although the inferior seems easy and may seem to get you where you want to go, at the end of the day, it's inferior. Jesus is superior. Do not trade away the superior for the inferior. My righteous one will live by faith. That's living by faith. Taking action on an unseen promise of God as if you can see it, as if you could feel it, as you can live it. You and I cannot do anything to hasten the coming of Jesus. Jesus already has a timeline. He says he is coming. He will not delay. His coming is not conditional upon what I do or what I don't do. But my response will say if I want to be ready. Instead, I choose to witness, to testify, to share, to live out, to be authentic, to be genuine in my Christian experience because he is coming, not for him to come. Let's pray. Father in heaven, as we come before you, we've come to this sanctuary, we've come to this church. It's your Sabbath day. But we don't want to be here just because it is a day. We want to be here because you have called us. Because you want us. It's not just about need us, or you really want us. You want to have life with us. You want to have fellowship with us. You want eternity with us. You want the right here and right now with us. But you also know our weaknesses. Thank you that you did not give up on us. Thank you that you did not give up on Peter. Even though you knew he was going to deny you, you still gave him hope. Don't let your heart be troubled, Peter. And I'm sure those words stuck with Peter the rest of his life. Especially those moments where he felt so horrible, so departed from you. And maybe it was those words that were ringing in his mind while you were trying to restore him those 3 times, and you did. Do you love me, Peter? Yes, Lord, I love you. I failed you, Lord, but I love you. I keep failing you, Lord, but you know that I love you. Keep feeding my sheep, Peter. Do you love me, David? Do you love me? Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. But my love is faulty. My love has its ups, it has its downs. My love is not 100% genuine. There's still the species and the elements of sin that weighs it down. And sometimes I like it that it weighs it down. Don't let your heart be troubled. I know you love me. Don't let your heart be troubled. Your sin has not taken away your mansion. Believe in God. Believe also in me. I want to be in heaven, Lord. And if it's the desire of whoever's listening, I invite them to raise their hand at this moment. Lord, I don't see who has their hands raised, but you do. You know the hands risen in the heart. You know the doubts. Someone out there is, I want to raise my hand, but I don't know how this works. I don't know how it's supposed to look like. Lord, you recognize all that. And even though we may be sinning, we may be in confusion, we may be in doubt, Lord, whatever it is, see, hear, understand the condition of our yearning, of our desire to want to lift up our hands and say, I want to be with you. Thank you that you've given us a promise that you have not left us alone to shame, to pity, and to horror. You have left us this example. I will return for you. so that where I am, you may be also. Thank you. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.